I spoke to Saskia about social media during the pandemic.
The pandemic has affected how often I use it. I think I've definitely started using it a lot more, especially towards the beginning of the pandemic and the whole lockdown, just because I had so much more free time. I was just on my phone more, which meant I was just on social media a whole lot more. I think there isn't a 50-50 split of whether social media is good or bad. I think the side that I see is mostly good, and that it should be used for good and to spread positivity, kindness. But I'm aware that there is a negative side, and that if we sort of all work together, we can get rid of that and use it for good. I would like to say that more people have watched my content, probably simply because they've also had more free time, so they've probably been spending more time on social media, may have just come across it out of boredom, which is totally okay. But yeah, I would say that it's increased.
So let's just jump straight into the video.
I have found myself using TikTok a whole lot more than before the pandemic. I think a lot of people have, and if you weren't on it last summer, a lot of people have joined this summer, again probably just because they have more free time. But I think that is definitely the platform that I have been spending most of my time on.
I interviewed twins Bryony and Peter about their experience during the pandemic.
Well, we haven't had too many cases. I know a few people who have had to self-isolate, but our classes are split up into separate bubbles. So when one person from one bubble gets coronavirus, the whole bubble self-isolates, and it kind of narrows it down. And also we have to wear masks in all the corridors and when inside.
I think you should wear masks all the time inside. I don't know why they don't make us wear them in the classrooms, but I think the corridors are good, but also in the classrooms and just whenever you're inside and close to other people.
In some lessons, they've changed things we can do and can't do. So I do dance, and we can't have any physical contact, which is really, really hard so we can't do any contact work or anything. So it's changed a lot. I think sports probably has been affected. I'm not doing a lot of team sports at the moment because I've recently started skateboarding. So it's like sort of a solo sport. You don't have to do it with a team. And so it's much easier to do when in lockdown rather than, let's say, football or rugby or something like that.
I don't like the rule of 3 households because Corona doesn't just go away for Christmas. I think you should all stay socially distanced and still meet outside. So I don't think the rules should change for Christmas at all.
It's really hard to balance that out because there's one side of me who really, really wants to see my grandparents as I do every year. Then there's another side which I would never forgive myself if I gave them coronavirus or something happened. So yeah, you've got quite a lot of responsibility. Well, my experience of lockdowns, I've quite enjoyed it. I have quite a lot of good local friends, so I've been able to, when I can, meet up with them. It hasn't been too bad, but it's been a bit of a disappointment after GCSEs.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I did a lot of walking, took my dogs on walks and spent time with my family, which I probably wouldn't have done. And I was meant to go to Africa, but I couldn't this year because of COVID. So that was a disappointment, but maybe next year.
I think we mainly agree. I feel a little more relaxed on wearing masks in every single lesson, mainly because I do lots of physical subjects like drama and dance, which it's almost impossible to act and perform with masks on, covering your face.
I talked to Maddie about isolating at school and having COVID.
So the reason why I'm isolating at school now is because we've had cases at school of coronavirus, and it means that I can't go home because my mum is a teaching assistant at a primary school, and if I go home it will mean that she will need to not go into work. I've tried to keep a routine isolating at school, otherwise I think I would just slip into pajamas and sleep for the whole day if I could. So I'll get up the normal time every day for school, and I'll make sure that I'll be dressed. Otherwise, in pajamas, I don't think I'd work very well. But usually on a normal day, we'll just follow the same school timetable, online lessons, and I will work into the evening. I think the thing that's kind of changed quite a lot is that social interaction with people in the evening, which you do miss quite a lot, but we have our own like way of talking to each other over like FaceTime and things like that, so I can fill in the social times with that as well. So personally for me, I'm so glad we have the online lessons, but I love being in the classroom with everybody and the teacher, because I feel like we kind of, our energy kind of bounces off each other. Definitely a positive is that although we don't really get to see anyone, we're all aware that we're all in house. We're all aware of like the similar things that we're all going through. Like usually on a daily basis, you'll hear people practicing their musical instruments or having a music lesson. And although we don't get to see each other, we're in solidarity. We know that that we're all going through the same thing. And although that is a negative as well, that we don't get to see each other, I think it does help because it does make you feel a lot less lonely. My family got COVID in, I think it was late April 2020. It was quite weird because we didn't really realise it at first. We thought that my mum had got food poisoning, but because we don't really eat anything that would really give you food poisoning, it then became kind of quite a worry after like the first 3 days, because usually food poisoning would go away quite quickly. And so it was quite strange and scary to see my mum in such like a fatigued and just completely unrecognizable state, where probably in the week that she was ill, I only saw her for about 5 minutes in that whole week. And I think my mum definitely had it the worst out of all of us, and my dad got it as well, but he was still able to kind of function normally. But my mum just didn't even have the energy to listen to the radio. That was the only thing she could do, was like lie in bed. But luckily I was asymptomatic, and so was my sister, so we managed to get on with our work and just kind of function normally as well. Although with mum not being around, the responsibilities were distributed a bit more as well, which meant that me and my sister did a lot more cooking and kind of cleaning and housework stuff, which I really appreciate now, because I think it has been valuable teaching me how to do those things, especially currently in the situation that I'm in.